All right, we got flame. As you can see here, that's a good sign. Blue light. No leaks yet. No smell of gas. And I think I just saved about $1,000. What's going on, folks? Eddie Carrington, mayor of Flux City. And today I am changing out a hot water tank. As you can see here, this one probably only, 3 years old, started leaking on me in one of the units that I own. This tenant has been an amazing tenant, and I really appreciate how well she takes good care of this space. But she's been dealing with this leaky hot water tank for probably 6 months, and I finally had an opportunity to come over here and take care of it myself. So I got the exact same hot water tank that we previously had installed, but I'm hoping that this one lasts longer than 3 years, because technically this thing has either a 5 or 6 year warranty on it. But when I reached out to Home Depot, they wanted me to jump through a number of hoops to try to replace this and get a refund, to a point where I just didn't have the time and energy to spend on trying to go through the process of exchanging this one and swapping it out for another one. But during the process of me figuring out if I were gonna replace the water tank or if I was gonna hire somebody else, I got a few quotes, and man, things have gotten expensive nowadays. Somebody quoted me as high as $1,500 to replace this hot water tank. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, that's kind of high. Back in my days, we could find somebody to replace a hot water tank for us for $200, $300. But it sounds like those are the days of the past. And what I mean by that is, at the very least, I'd buy the hot water tank, which is typically anywhere from $450 back in the day to now you're getting at about $525, $530 for a good hot water tank. Not the best, but a decent hot water tank. It's going to still cost you a little over $500. And once again, getting these higher quotes got me to the point where I'm like, hey, look, I got to do my own stunts on this one. I got to come out and just spend the time and swap this out on my end, in order to make sure that we can save a little bit of money. But I'm just gonna have you hang with me for a bit as I swap it out. All right, so this bad boy is unhooked. Took me about, 5 minutes to unhook this thing. Not long at all. And I'm hoping that the hot water tank that I ended up purchasing is gonna fit right in, basically. I got the exact same model. There is one thing that I'm going to be changing, and that's putting a pan underneath it, which potentially adds a very small amount of height to the overall water tank. But at the end of the day, it took me all of 5 minutes to, at the very least, take it apart, or take it from the current connections. And now I'm going to basically move it out the way and add the existing gas line from the old tank to the new tank, and we'll see how easy or hard that is, but it shouldn't be that hard. With that said, I'm hoping that you noticed something that has been a request in our comments for quite some time, and that is an external mic. I had a lot of people in the comments that were highlighting how hard it was to hear during certain interviews that I did in the past, and the individuals that I was interviewing deserved better audio. Now, that is something that I 100% agree with, but I also am working on a budget when it comes to my YouTube channel. This is more or less a passion project of mine, and I don't really have a ton of funding allocated toward my YouTube channel. I'm just pretty much working with what I have when it comes to creating content. And so I'll share with you in another video the device that I use, which is a Samsung S23 Ultra. Basically just a cell phone and a bit of a stand. And from there, I just do my best at capturing as much as I can on my free time, during my free time, in order to hopefully get the narratives of these amazing individuals that are doing phenomenal things throughout the city of Detroit out there to the people who watch and subscribe to my channel. But with that said, I finally decided to break down and spend 150 bucks on some external mics. And once again, I'm hoping that you can hear me a little bit better. But back to the hot water tank. It's still hot, by the way. It has a lot of hot water in this thing. And I decided not to empty it all out, because one thing I did forget to bring over was a hose to funnel it to the proper drain. So I'm gonna have to pretty much manually do that. Got it. So now it's pretty empty, and next thing I'm gonna do is take this gas line off. I don't play about my hands. When it comes to dealing with metal and things that may be sharp and may cut my hands, I put gloves on. I don't play around. But let's go ahead and put this on the side here. And what I'm gonna try to do is basically unscrew this from this current water tank without disrupting its current form. Interestingly enough, a lot of rust is starting to come out of the tank itself, so definitely needed to be replaced. As you can see, I'm just leaving, once again, this entire structure be, and I in turn am unscrewing it without disrupting the overall layout of it. But there you go. So my next goal or task is to pretty much do the opposite on the new tank. Screw it in. This does mean I'm gonna have to put the new tank on its side, which is not recommended, but since it's just me and since I'm trying to figure it out in real time, the new tank will have to lay on its belly for a bit. So one thing I do want to show you is where it actually started to leak from. And for whatever reason, right here, it sprung a leak. I'm not exactly sure why, but right there you can kind of see a very small bit of rust. And for whatever reason, it decided to fail at that point, which makes me wonder if the original tank or this tank was defective when I first bought it in the first place. But I've never seen a hot water tank fail at that point. And I've replaced a few hot water tanks in my lifetime. I'd probably say 4 or 5 that I've done on my own. It's gonna get a little wet here. All right. When it comes to your gas line, your tape is always yellow. So now we're going to flip it up straight. See if I can throw this on somehow. There we go. And slide this one over here. And so this was one thing that I ended up needing to run to the store for, and that is dielectric unions for the top of the dielectric nipples that came with the hot water tank. But I ended up needing to make an extra run for these because the ones that are currently on the old hot water tank, I was hoping to be able to reuse those. And unfortunately, in this scenario, they were a little too tough to unscrew from the old hot water tank. And this in turn caused me to make that one run to the hardware store. That's kind of common. If you're not running to the store at least one time, then what are you doing? There's always a run to the hardware store because you forgot something or you need to pick something up that you realized you needed after the start of installation. But hopefully after I screw these on, I'm able to really just hook back up the water lines and get this bad boy lit along with the gas line hookup. Get this bad boy lit and we should be in business. Of course, the flute as well. I think we all set. What I'm about to do next, basically let some water in, see if the gas is good, and we should be good to go. All right, we got flame. As you can see here, that's a good sign. Blue light. No leaks yet. No smell of gas. And I think I just saved about $1,000. So the water is now coming out hot and the pressure looks good. No gas leaks, anything of that nature. I'm gonna go ahead and wheel out the old hot water tank to the curb. And honestly, I don't think it's gonna last long. I think Detroit is really big at scrapping. There's gonna be somebody driving by, they're gonna see it, and they're gonna put it in the back of their truck and make a couple bucks off of taking it to the scrapyard. Sometimes I'll do that, but I just don't have the time, energy, and I'm going to leave it to somebody else's good fortune and hopefully allow for somebody else to just grab it and make a couple bucks off of it. But I'm wondering how long it's gonna last at the curb. I'm guessing a half an hour, but maybe a little longer, maybe quicker. So I'm gonna set a camera up out there and kind of see how long it takes to before it comes up missing. One of the hardest parts is honestly getting this bad boy down the steps, the new one down the steps, and then the old one up the steps. When it's just you by yourself, you would think that with a decent wheelie or cart you got, you'd be able to pull it up and pull it down without too much issue. But these things are clumsy, they're heavy, there's no real way to grab onto the actual hot water tank itself. And so it does take a little bit of effort and energy to get these things up and down a flight of steps. Looks like I need to replace a burner while I'm here as well. This was sitting on the table when I came up to actually change out the faucet here in the sink, which drips a little bit. So I'm gonna swap that out. But how in the world did that happen? How does a burner get a hole burned through it? I've never seen that before. But I'll run to the store and see if I can find a replacement for this a little later here. But that is weird. Never seen that before. I'm actually gonna be replacing this faucet as well. The quote that I had for getting this replaced, $250. And that's not including the actual faucet, right? So this is a wall mount kitchen faucet. Really hard to kind of come by in the stores. They don't even have them on the shelves, or actually displayed more specifically. But I checked Lowe's, I checked their website, and it showed that only one store in Michigan had 3 of them in stock. So I went, looked around a little bit, couldn't find them for, I don't know, 20 minutes. About to ask some assistance from one of the individuals that work at Lowe's, and lo and behold, I look down and I come across what I was looking for. The ever elusive wall mount faucet. But this was 60 bucks, and once again, they were going to charge me another 250 bucks, at least the plumber that I was getting quotes from. And Lowe's actually has an install program where they would charge $219, but $219 to replace a faucet seems like a lot of money to me. I don't know about you guys. Now, it is important to note that a lot of people think real estate is passive industry when it comes to owning property. I am here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that is not the case. You will be in the field dealing with these types of issues if you so choose to want to get into this industry, get into this realm. And a lot of people don't realize just how time consuming owning property is. But at the end of the day, it is important that we folks that are constantly living it tell you the truth. This is not a passive hustle. So a lot of people who I talk to who want to get into real estate think that this is something you can kind of do passively or kind of as a side hustle. And that is somewhat true. You don't necessarily, in some cases, need to be managing your properties 24/7, but this is a contact sport, and it is important that you realize that this is a sport that is going to require you to show up and basically put on your big boy boots to get things done in a lot of instances, including what's happening now in this example, where you will find yourself having to do things like changing faucets, hot water tanks, electrical plugs, things of that nature. And so I just want you to realize that this is not something that you should take lightly if you are truly planning on getting into this game. This is going to require some effort and energy from you outside of just your dollars. Why is this so loose? One thing's for certain, this is the same brand, but this one was made better than this one. This one seems like it's not as strong as the other one. So let's see if this heating element actually replaces the other one. I think it's in. Let's see. And we got heat. Simple as that. I appreciate you chiming in. Once again, Landlord is a full contact sport. And if you do plan on getting into this game in some format or fashion, just be prepared to get your hands a little bit dirty and learn a skill or two when it comes to things like fixing faucets and changing out hot water tanks when you're not able to source the right subcontractor to be able to execute what you need them to execute at a budget that you're comfortable with. But I'll see you in next week's video.